Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to League Two Lowdown. My name is Jordan Richards. I'm once again joined by Luke Payne. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. And you enjoying being into the third round of the FA Cup for the first time in about 5 years? That's quite nice.
It's nothing new to us, especially with our run of cups at the minute, and some of the joys that we've had over the last few years in cup competitions. Fourth round of the Carabao this season, third round of the FA Cup this year. I don't mind it. I love a good cup run. But yeah, all lies on the draw tomorrow night. Hopefully, it's not as painstakingly long as the World Cup one. Oh my god, that was
Oh,
the worst.
dear.
That was the worst thing I think I've ever watched. But I'm not going to dwell on it. I don't really want to get like political or anything like that because there's so many thoughts I have on it. But I'm just going to keep that to myself. It was god awful. But hopefully the FA Cup draw won't be anything like that. Look forward to it. We've got a bit of a bumper episode. It's not quite the usual chatting rubbish as we initially had planned in the week. There was quite a bit more to the week of what we initially thought. We're going to have a quick run through of the Colchester Gillingham game. That'll be 30 seconds. We'll have a quick look at the FA Cup results from League Two sides over the weekend. And of course, there is a full fixture list other than Colchester and Gillingham in League Two this upcoming midweek. So we'll give us very quick score predictions for now, but there'll be no thorough deep dives in this one. Just your typical housekeeping stuff before we do start. Make sure you hit that like button if you are new around here. And if you are new around here, or even if you're not, and you just fancy or you just like what we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Very much appreciated. Very close to 1,500 subs. I keep saying it. Make sure you tell your nan, your gran, your dad, your dog, and everyone like that, make an account, hit that subscribe button. And of course, make sure you download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. Right, okay, let's crack on. Lot to get through. Colchester Gillingham ended goalless. Who saw that coming? Look, I'll be honest, I've not seen much into it. I've not really watched the highlights. This won't last very long. It looked like a game, or it certainly sounded like a game of very little quality. It sounded like Gillingham probably had the better of it. Stats wise, probably suggested it's even. I mean, point apiece for both sides. Is it really the worst thing in the world? I think certainly for Gillingham, it's not. I think Colchester are doing quite well at the minute, as I've waxed lyrical on quite a bit. It didn't sound like Colchester were probably at their best, but look, it's another clean sheet for them. I think there's both sides to the coin for both teams. I mean, it's goalless in the end, and it's a point apiece for both. I don't think any particularly mind, really, as much as the game probably didn't sound the greatest.
Yeah, I'd say this was probably a good game for just about everyone that isn't a Colchester or Gillingham fan, to be honest, because them drawing 0-0, if you're any of those, top 14 teams, well, you're having a laugh. You don't have to worry that both teams have dropped points. That's great. It didn't look like there was much in this game at all. You've kind of alluded to it already. Um, I'd say first half, from what I can tell, looked relatively even, albeit Gillingham doing slightly better in terms of shots on target. Second half, Colchester probably had a little bit more about them, but not enough quality on show to really actually put the game to bed or do anything with it. So yeah, just in the end, kind of just your typical board draw. Sucks to be them, I guess. Everyone else will take it. I don't mind them two drawing. That's totally fine with me. Just a wasted opportunity for both.
And that is your review of Colchester against Gillingham. I'll be honest. Like I said, I've seen nothing of the sort. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Really, it's a draw. It's a point each. I guess. Then move on to the next one. Right. But look, FA Cup took priority for a lot of League Two sides this weekend. Obviously, not for the ones that got knocked out first round. We're going to run through the results very quickly. Luke, feel free to butt in whenever because I could just go on. And mention it. We'll look at all the results for all League Two sides that took part, including the game on Friday night. A very good result for Salford City, beating League One Leyton Orient 4-0. You know what? Going into the game, I expected Salford to win. I actually had that feeling. I think, they're at home. It's a night game. I reckon they'll fancy this against Leyton Orient of League One, who have probably not been at their brilliant best this season, judging by all accounts. I think even Sam might agree with me there. But I just saw Richie Wellens' post-match, and you could tell he was fuming. You can say this about this and that about how they conceded goals. The pitch didn't look great, but look, terrific for Salford. You've got to admit, scoring 4 goals against a League One side, they're in the third round again. Fantastic result for them. pretty faultless by all accounts. Clean sheet, pretty faultless.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Well, I thought Salford would put up a fight, but I wouldn't have predicted a 4-0. That's for
No, I
sure.
wouldn't.
And to be fair, it's kind of it kind of set a precedent of League Two teams knocking out, League One opposition. That's happened quite a few times already in this cup. Just in the first couple of rounds, it's quite nice to see. Just League Two's having its own little sort of fight back at the foot of the EFL. It's quite nice to see. Then that these sides are taking it a little bit more seriously. But yeah, I mean, absolutely credit to Salford because that is an outstanding result.
Absolutely, it is. Well, like I said, we're probably not going to dwell on this because there's a lot to get through. But yeah, terrific for Carl Robinson and the Emmys. I'm sure they'll be looking forward to the draw as well tomorrow night. Accrington, not far off beating League One opposition themselves in Mansfield Town, losing on penalties following a 2-2 draw. It looked like it was going to be Accrington that nicked it in extra time, scoring in the 102nd minute. But it only took, 5 minutes later in the first half of extra time for Mansfield to equalise. And yeah, just 3 penalties scored for Mansfield did the trick on the top of 3 missed penalties for Accrington Stanley. I think penalty practice might be on the agenda coming up in training. So not quite a shock there, but look, I mean, they've given a half decent League One side a pretty good run for the money, and I think you could certainly take a lot of positives out from that. Yeah, just unavailable to in the end.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's just another good effort to be fair, and obviously they had their first team out for it, and to be fair, I'm even just looking at the Mansfield squad as well. They looked like they had a relatively strong squad out as well, so they've certainly put up a fight there, and that to me still absolutely backs up my thing for Accrington in the league. They are better against better opposition, 100%. They just find ways of getting themselves involved. Yes, it's a shame they lost it on penalties, but for me, that's still a valiant effort, and credit to them for that at least.
It is, and like I say, I think there's a lot of positives I can take out of that. Very good effort taking a League One team that far, just falling short right at the end. It ended up being a comfortable victory, this one, but it did not always look to be the case. Cheltenham Town 6, Buxton 2. Buxton of the National League North, I want to say. The non-league side went in front twice in the game as well, so Cheltenham really had their work cut out, but in the end, just sort of blew them away second half, really, with 5 second half goals. And yeah, it just proved to be a bit of a comfortable afternoon in the end. But yeah, it looked a bit nervy at half time, didn't it? Against their lower league opposition that they faced. But job done in the end, and eventually pretty convincing.
In the end, yeah. I mean, I'd still have concerns just over that first half because ultimately they have gone behind twice as the home side against lower league opposition. I don't know whether that's them just taking the wrong mentality into the game to begin with, because obviously there was a completely different feel to the second half, and they actually started running away with it. But you would have wanted to see that from the start, a bit probably like a bit more like what Grimsby did in your game against Swindon actually, but we'll come on to that later. But it's that kind of attitude that you want to see from your squad. Yes, it may be like weaker opposition, but you still have to take it seriously. And well, it took 45 minutes for them to realise that, and well, they got it done in the end. But it's a lesson learned, I think.
Yeah, and especially when teams in which sure as hell that they're going to be up for it. I think Buxton were coming into the game on pretty poor form. I think they had one eye on this game. So I think it was clear to see that they're taking it seriously. Yes, the job was done. Some concerns, but eventually 6 goals scored for Cheltenham. If you want to flip those concerns maybe into a positive, but yeah, they've got the job done in the end. It's about winning the cup games, isn't it? So, and they've certainly done that there. Probably one of the more impressive results of the round: Fleetwood 2, Luton Town 2. Fleetwood Town winning on penalties. Of course, we've talked about Fleetwood being very good at home, and yeah, thoroughly. It looked like they thoroughly deserved the victory. Again, it just proves how strong they are at home. I'll tell you what, Pete Wild's fist pump video where he nearly slipped on his backside. Unreal. Go and watch that if you haven't seen it, by the way. It was only a matter of time before that was going to happen. But no, look, I've seen a lot of praise for the likes of Ethan Ennis, in particular, 2 goals for him in the game, and a couple of missed penalties for Luton Town. I mean, look, Fleetwood knocking out League One opposition, half decent League One opposition, although probably not quite at the levels that we probably expected at the start of the season. Now under Jack Wilshere, of course, but a very good result for them, you've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I just find this one very funny,
I wonder
personally.
why. So I remember with you at the back end of last season, second to last game when we played each other at Stadium NK, Luton was on the telly, and it was just you constantly laughing at them all game. So I'm not surprised that you're sat here quite smug, really.
Yeah, no, I don't like losing at all. But yeah, no, absolutely fair play to Fleetwood. This is a great result for them. Yeah, even just taking it to penalties in the first place. To be fair, if they're bowed out at that point and lost, you'd still kind of say, what, fair play, good performance. Penalties are a lottery, end of the day. But no, absolutely, I think they've put in a very, very good performance there, and it's now about building on that and using that in your league fixtures, because that's where they don't necessarily have that consistency. But it's shown that they can do it. This is like a perfect platform for them to start building on going into the December fixtures.
Absolutely right. Moving on, because like I said, there are plenty of games to get through. From Fleetwood Town to Grimsby Town, Grimsby comfortable winners against National League Wilson in the end, avenging our sort of revenge after last season's first round tie in which the non-league side knocked us out, scoring a 90th minute winner to send them through. There'll be no repeat this time round, and the game was done after the first 25 minutes, really. It was just a very comfortable afternoon, and I'll tell you something, we scored some really good goals in that game as well. I don't think Wilson started particularly poorly either. I think you can certainly see that there was on it. I think they were unbeaten in 8 in the National League. So I thought that they were going to come and give us a much closer game than what they did. But yeah, look, it just proved to be a really comfortable afternoon. Great to see Jays KB get 2 goals. First couple of goals since September. Hopefully that can be the spark that really kicks him into gear now. Kieran Green from distance, that's basically a tapping for him. And then that Jamie Walker goal, really good move for that. And then the back heel from Walker. Just a terrific goal. Full stop. And yeah, look, we're pretty faultless in the game. Clean sheet is pleasing. Hopefully we can take that into the league now. We'll, of course, touch on the games in midweek. But yeah, 4-0 in the hat. No complaints from me. Really pleasing afternoon.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I like from Grimsby is the fact that you've very clearly taken it seriously. There's minimal rotation there. It's just, let's make sure we win this game, get ourselves in the hat for a potential big draw or another opportunity to progress, depending on who you get. But absolutely, you've approached this game, in a very professional way, and you've made sure that without shadow of a doubt, you're going to be through to the next round. And I mean, you say Wilson haven't played that bad. It's just like it's just kind of a case of, by playing your strongest, one of your strongest 11s, you just give them no chance whatsoever. And it's great to see you guys approaching it in that way. And yeah, like I said, just making sure you get the job done.
Absolutely, and we did just that, and quite comfortably in the end as well. There's no hard feelings against Wilston, I promise. Wish them well for the season. One League Two side knocking out another League Two side at Stadium MK. MK Dons 3-1 winners against Oldham Athletic. Luke, the floor is yours with this one.
We're quite good at football, aren't we? Yeah, I was very pleased with this one. I think we made 4 changes, which isn't too many, but we didn't really look any weaker than we would in the league fixture, which is quite nice. I'd say we probably had a little bit of a slower start than perhaps I would have liked, but once we kind of found our rhythm, that was kind of it. We definitely could have scored more than we actually did, which I think says a lot when you consider that Oldham have the best defensive record in our division. Although I don't think they were necessarily helped by, I think they changed their shape and had a back 3 for that one, which I don't think did them any favours, to be honest. They looked a bit uncomfortable there, and like I said, we probably could have scored more. Obviously they had the penalty, but beyond that, I wasn't really too threatened by them. And other than that, it's just really, really enjoying our goals. I mean, that volley from Liam Kelly, my God. That was unreal. But yeah, no, it's just great for us to be into the third round, first time in, like I said, I think about 5 years. But also good signs for the league as well, because at what was it? I think it was at 2-1. Yeah, we were able to bring on the likes of Alex Gilby, Mendes Lang, Aaron the Main. It's just like these players didn't even start and we were already winning. That's such a great position to be in, and to show that strength in depth. Because going into December with all these tricky fixtures, we're going to need all of these players. So for us, it's a fantastic result.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch on it too much. I mean, not many teams have scored 3 goals against Oldham in any competition, really. So that's a good sign. You mentioned Kelly's goal. I really like Tomlinson's goal as well.
Yeah.
In the first half, really good finish. And yeah, I've not got much to say. I mean, really good performance from MK Dons. They're in the hat for the third round as well. You said that I don't recall a time, or don't remember a recent period in which MK have been in the third round. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, we've just had an awful run of years, and in terms of cup games, it's usually been like a first round. That's why when we got Colchester first round, and they also have a terrible record, but we're like, well, one of us has to go through here. So it was nice for us, and now we've took advantage again into the third round. See who we get.
Overcoming 2 decent League Two sides in the first class. I nearly said League One, not quite. Bristol Rovers, their woes continue with a 1-0 defeat to League One's bottom side, Port Vale, which extends their losing run to 9 straight games. Yeah, it's again it 0 shots on target for Bristol Rovers. Let's be honest, this Port Vale side are not brilliant. Not a great result for them.
Yeah, it's not. This is probably just a miserable game all around, really, to be honest. Just a game of very, very low quality. The only thing I would add with Port Vale is, you look at some of the names in that squad, they were the players that got them up into that league in the first place. So, you kind of know they're capable, the same way that we know that these Bristol Rovers players are capable. It's just not working for them, albeit in a higher division. I mean, it's great for Bristol Rovers in the sense that it was a close game, but I don't think there were the signs of improvement that I would have liked to have seen, especially because this is a bit of a freebie. Because if you lose in the cup, it's just like, okay, great, we'll go focus on the league. This was a chance for them to really express themselves and really just let go. There's no league status, at risk here or anything like that. It's a little bit disappointing they didn't do a bit more with it. But at least it was close.
And that's the thing with a one-off game. I think you surely see this as an opportunity for maybe 1 or 2 players, or maybe even Darrell Clark, to maybe try and stamp their authority, maybe try something different. Maybe, yeah, if it doesn't pull off, then it doesn't pull off. But at the same time, I think that break from the league was somewhat maybe what they did, and it just failed quite miserably, to be quite honest. I mean, it didn't look the greatest game. Like I said, Port Vale with the early goal of the game just got them through. I did have to check because for some reason I thought Plymouth were bottom of League One. No, they're not quite. It is Port Vale. I was right in saying that. So yeah, I can be all right. Stockport 0, Cambridge 0. Cambridge winning on penalties. Terrific for them. Keeping a clean sheet in 120 minutes against one of League One's top sides, and getting the job done on penalties. All 5 scored for Neil Harris's side, and a place like Edgeley Park as well, a very difficult ground to go to. Very good result for them. You can't knock them for that.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a game where Cambridge really played to their strengths. For all the times I've sort of criticised their lack of quality in the final third, defensively they are actually a very strong side. And if Oldham weren't quite as good as they were defensively, we'd probably be talking a bit more about Cambridge's defence, to be fair to them. But no, they just made it difficult, made sure they weren't conceding too many chances. And if you can keep it tight for that long, which they did, then you give yourselves an opportunity in the penalty shootout as well, which as we say, is the lottery, can go either way, and this time it's gone in their favour. So I think it is a very typically Cambridge result, but actually, like I said, it really has shown the positive sides of their game. Yes, I obviously still have concerns over their attacking third play, but I'm hardly going to criticise them for that against the League One side that, as you say, are running quite strongly in League One. So yeah, very, very good result for Cambridge, and yeah, this is an impressive one.
From Cambridge's excellent defensive show to the Aaron Drinan show at the county ground, probably the result of the weekend regarding League Two sides in the FA Cup. Swindon Town 4, Bolton Wanderers 0, as an Aaron Drinan perfect hat-trick, left foot, right foot header. The man's just inevitable at the minute. And of course, not forgetting that goal as well from Joe Snowden. Just a fantastic result. And one I somewhat thought Swindon will give a good account of themselves to against a Bolton side that are doing pretty well in League One, playing some very good, attractive football under Steven Schumacher. But to blow them away in the manner that they did do, Swindon are some force this season. If they do, yes, you can maybe talk about maybe the Bolton team. I don't think they rotated that heavily to be. Let's put it this way: it's probably still a good enough squad to compete, but credit where it's due to Swindon. They absolutely blew them away. And I'll tell you what, whoever gets them in the third round will probably be up for a very tricky game.
Absolutely. I mean, they haven't just beaten Bolton. They've absolutely flattered them in the end, to be fair, and it was thoroughly deserved. And it is sort of showing, again, it's showing the strengths of their side going forwards. And to be fair, even defensively, they didn't look necessarily too threatened, or at least not as threatened as they could have been. So yeah, it's just a really, really positive result. And there, as you say, there is a potential for banana skins there. And I think you could say that with quite a few of the League Two sides. To be fair, I mentioned it earlier. The League Two sides are really taking this cup competition seriously, and it's great to see. And it's just testament to I suppose the strength of this division, which I know we've kind of said it's a weaker league than normal, but like I say, I think these sides are actually showing that there are some very good qualities within these teams, and I mean, the more of them we can keep in the competition for longer, the better, really. So it's a great advertisement for this division.
Moving on to a little bit of late heartbreak for Barrow in their game against Wigan Athletic, 2-2 after normal time, an 89th minute equaliser for Wigan Athletic broke Barrow hearts, and it'll be Wigan that prevailed on penalties in the end. Barrow missing 2 spot kicks, Ben Jackson, and you'll be interested to know MJ Williams missed a spot kick in that one as well. He missed a deciding one, actually. Again,
Why was he taking one? Why was he taking one? Come on now.
But no, I think, very close to a very good result for Barrow against League One opposition. Just fell short right at the end. Again, in a season which they're probably not had the best of luck, and probably not at the rub of the green, not had that many incredible-ish performances. Again, I think you can only take positives out of a result like that against League One opposition, maybe. Just like I said, just disappointed just to fall at the final hurdle. I mean, penalties is a lottery, isn't it, in the end? But pretty unlucky. Very nearly a very good away victory.
Well, yeah, exactly that. And I think we've got to place a bit more emphasis on the fact that was away at a League One team, and actually they've done very, very well there to even just keep in that game. Especially after going behind early as well, it would have been easy for them to just be like, okay, this game's gone. That's kind of it. But no, they put up a fight. They put up a real fight, and I mean, statistically, this game was entirely against them. But when their chances came, they took them. Aside from the penalties, but we won't mention that. But no, I think there's a lot of positives they can take from that performance, and that can give them more confidence going into their league games. If they approach more league games in perhaps a similar manner, perhaps they can start to get some more positive results, because there is some quality in that side. It's not necessarily translating into the League Two league table at this moment in time, but yeah, still a very good effort.
Sutton United 1, Shrewsbury Town 2. Shrewsbury Town made a bit of a meal of this, but just about got through. A terrific strike from Ismail Kabia to equalise in the last minute, very nearly. An upset, really, losing to National League opposition. Got the job done in extra time through John Marquis. Salop finished the game with 10 men, while Sutton 9. Probably not one for the history books from them. There was a lot of disgruntled fans that I saw on their Twitter page, and rightly so. I mean, they've got the job done in the end, but I don't think there'd be one or two minds change maybe from certain situations without exactly pointing towards the manager. Really, I don't think that would have really helped his cause in either way. But I guess cup games are about winning, and it's taken a bit of a moment of brilliance to level it, and a goal in extra time to somewhat seal it. Late heartbreak for Sutton, mind. Thought I watched quite a bit of this one. I thought they played quite well. But yeah, Sal up through just about.
Yeah, by luck more than judgment, I'd
Yeah.
say. It's obviously, their quality has just about shone through in the end, just about. But you've got to ask what they're doing for the rest of those 89 minutes. Like they could have done a whole lot more of this. I appreciate that. They had plenty of chances. It's just like I said, you've got to do more of them, especially when you are the sort of high level opposition. You've really got to make that actually count for something. And if anything, that's kind of bringing back that whole kind of free up, free down debate, isn't it? Because then they're not the only ones that have struggled against non-league opposition in this round, which again I'm sure we'll touch on in a little bit. But yeah, for me, it's a disappointing one for Shrewsbury. Yes, they're through, but that's kind of all you can really say for it. I don't think there's many more positives you can take other than the fact that they won. That's kind of just it.
Chesterfield 1, Doncaster Rovers 2. The League Two champions overcoming the Spireites. Very late on in that one as well. A 90th minute goal from Jack Senior, settling the differences there. That's twice in the same week in which Doncaster have beaten Chesterfield in two different competitions. Not as convincing as it was the other night. This was 10 men Chesterfield as well, with that John Fleck red card in the second half. It was a game that looked to be heading towards extra time, but as I've mentioned, Jack Senior had other ideas. And just a League One side overcoming the League Two side in this one, just about.
Yeah, just about. It's just a bit of a shame that the red card wasn't involved there really at all, because it does feel like Chesterfield put up a good fight in that game. And again, Doncaster are good opposition. We've seen a lot of those players, last season, like and how good they were at this level. So absolutely no shame in falling to a late defeat. Yes, obviously a little bit frustrating that it is one of those. It's a bit of a kick in the teeth when you lose it last minute like that. But like I say, it's still a very very good effort. And if you look at the performance, there's a lot of positives to take that again can be translated back to the league, which they'll now be able to focus on now that they're out of this competition. It's that typical thing, isn't it? As soon as you're out of the cup, it's just, oh yep, we're focusing on the league. But that's just how it is, isn't it? That's all they can do now, and there are positives to take. So, still an educational process for them.
Couple more League Two sides to look at in the games played today. Let's first of all start looking at Boreham Wood 3, Newport County 0. Newport's woes just continue quite drastic, and they were outplayed. I tell you what, I watched the game, very impressed with Boreham Wood. Some of their attacking play. Then number 10, Abdul Malik, I think his name is. I tell you what, he's one to watch. He looks some player. And Enrico Sousa as well ran the show. Was given man of the match, of course, former Town. There's no sugarcoat. It's an awful result for Newport County, and it's probably a bit more. Boreham Wood are doing very well in the National League, but I tell you what, I don't see positives in Newport at the minute. I really don't. And today he suggested nothing to suggest it will get better even under Christian Fuchs. But I do sympathise with him a little bit. I think the players have massively let him down. I think the players have massively let David Hughes down this season. Ultimately, they just look like they're not good enough. And I honestly do not see how they get out of it. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. This was an opportunity for them to instill some positivity back into the club against lower league opposition. Although I don't want to disrespect Boreham Wood too much, because, as you say, they are a strong side in that division. And I think just this result again, quite advocates for the whole free up, free down situation, and I mean, just a clear difference in quality between the two sides, and that's kind of all you can really say for it from a Boreham Wood
They weren't
perspective.
even close.
They
weren't even close to that quality. It was just a clear difference from a side that's only 5 places below them, really, and they absolutely outshone them in pretty much all departments.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you had to guess who the League Two side was, you would have said Boreham Wood
Yeah,
quite comfortably. Uh, so yeah, this is really worrying signs now for Newport because yeah, it's another game they've lost. Hard to really take any positives from it. Uh,
you can't.
we were saying,
You
well,
can't take any,
yeah, you
really.
can't.
I don't think.
It's
Other
like
than maybe
you.
Sammy Braybrook. I can't even say his name. Sammy Braybrook, maybe. But that's about it from what I saw today.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were saying how earlier, sometimes a cup game can be a free hit in terms of just giving it a go, but with Newport, it somehow made things look even worse. They're just there's just not enough quality in that side. Not, I think the belief is in that side is pretty much going as well. Any kind of bounce that would have happened with a new manager, I think, kind of went when they went with an inexperienced option. Uh, and the results haven't improved straight away. So they're kind of just stuck in a rut, and I don't think there's really a way out of it for them at this point. It would take a significant change, and they've already made the significant change, and it doesn't actually look any better. So unfortunately, I think that could be done in the league. I will see how they do in the next few weeks, but I'm really concerned for them.
I was going to say, because I think there needs to be drastic improvement, and we are in December eventually. So, yeah, there's not really much more to say. Boreham Wood, full credit to them, by the way. I thought they were terrific. And last but not least, Walsall getting a job done against a struggling Gateshead side in the National League. 2-0 victory in the end. Daniel Carnew and Aidan Flint, the goal scorers there. Yeah, just a thoroughly professional performance from Walsall looking at it, albeit 25% possession for the Saddlers. I mean, look, where have we seen that one before? But no, the Saddlers get the job done. They're in the third round.
Well, they don't want the ball. This is it. I keep saying it. They don't want it, and Gateshead clearly do want it. They just didn't necessarily know what to do with it against a side that clearly has superior quality to them. And I think we'll sort of approach that game in the exact way I wanted Shrewsbury to approach it. As you say, very professional, and just kept knocking on the door, made sure that their quality counted for something, and they've got themselves into the next round as a result. And that's all of the top three through into the third round, which is again great for League Two.
Absolutely, and that is the roundup for all the League Two sides in the FA Cup this season. A bit of a mixed bag. I think there's been more positives than negatives in terms of teams going through. Quite a lot of League Two teams in the hat. And of course, both of our teams are in it, Luke. Grimsby Town and MK Dons will be in the third round draw. Before we have a look at the League Two side, it does beg the question, who do you want?
I'm pretty sure I said this exact same thing last round. I want Boreham Wood away just for the away day.
What,
Get us through the round.
out of the likes of Man United, Liverpool in there as well, and all the big guns, big stadiums you can go to. Boreham Wood is your perfect game.
But no, this is it, because we beat them in the third round, we get to the fourth round, and then we get a big game. I want us to get as far as we possibly can, and then get the big game. I think a cup run would be brilliant for us. And then if you can cap that off with a sellout at Stadium MK against like a big six team or something, then brilliant, right? Like, what's not to love?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can see you thinking. We've already had the glitz and glamour of a cup tie this season with Man United and beating them. Why not? Let's have them again. Let's get them again. Let's just do them all over again. And yeah, just make. I mean, what should we get if we do draw them and we manage to overcome them again? We might as well just be given the freedom of Old Trafford at this point. I mean, at least we'll have.
Just swap leagues at that point, honestly. Like,
I mean, as Old Trafford's record attendance holders as well, I think it's probably fair that we should own Old Trafford if we was to do that. Of course, never forget. There's your history lesson. But no, I think I'm under the impression of, I think getting to the fourth round would be nice. I think you probably do want a big cup draw away. That's certainly what I look for. Liverpool away would be a good one. One I really want to do. Anfield, I've not been. Even the likes of Everton, Spurs will be a very good one. I haven't yet to do their ground. Even somewhere like Newcastle. Basically, I just want one of the big Premier League sides away. Or failing that, Hull coming to the third round. That could be a fun one. Probably not so much for Humberside Police or the police force around East Yorkshire. But it'll be quite a fun one to have that sort of game. But no, look, I feel like I've been quite spoilt in a sort of way because I've seen quite a few cup draws over the last few years. Of course, making the quarterfinals a few years ago. Of course, I'm going to bring that up again. We've just been very good in cup competitions these last few years. Other than the FA Cup last year, of course, like as I mentioned earlier, we lost in the first round to Wealdstone, and we very nearly got knocked out to Swindon Town a couple of years ago as well. That was not great. But no, let's see. Let's see. I think certainly a home game. I'd certainly fancy anyone at home. But I think if you're probably wanting, like I said, a big start, you'd want them away. You want to try and maximise the revenue for that. But ultimately, I want us to try and get back on track in the league, in which we'll probably have a look now. Of course, there is a full midweek fixture list in League Two. 9 games on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, of course, for the two sides that played in the FA Cup today, being Sunday. Look, we've got about 15 minutes left. We'll run through them very quickly. Quick score predictions. We won't dwell on them for too long. Let's have a look then. Tuesday night, we start with Barnet against Bristol Rovers. Now, I'll tell you what, I don't think it's the perfect game for Bristol Rovers to come back into, coming up against Barnet, but maybe they might fancy their luck. 5 straight draws for the Bees. They'll be wanting to get back to winning ways. But look, Barnet away, very difficult task. And I think if you probably ask me now, I fancy a 2-1 Barnet win. I just fancy them just to get back to winning ways against what is, quite frankly, a Bristol Rovers side mentally, as much as anywhere else at the minute, are on the floor. Are just completely and utterly on the floor. I think it does seem like the perfect game for Barnet in that sense, but they need to get back to winning ways themselves. As I said, 5 straight draws. Could start with picking up a few wins.
Well, yeah, I think for Barnet, this is a perfect opportunity. As you say, they've been steady. They just haven't been able to finish games off. Well, if you want a game to finish off, then this is probably the one. You probably want Bristol Rovers or Newport as your next game. Looking at Bristol Rovers away form, they've had a couple of decent cup games, but in terms of actual league results, their last point away came in September, and their last win away was at the beginning of September as well. I don't see them turning around that away form at this moment in time. Obviously there needs to be a moment if things are to change. I don't think this is that moment. I would expect Barnet to be pretty steady and just close this one out. I'd probably go 2-0 Barnet.
Barrow coming up against Tranmere Rovers. Tranmere unbeaten in their last 3 league games, winning 2 and drawing 1. Their last win coming at Blundell Park, unfortunately, with that very late Christian Dennis goal. Jack Walton was supposed to be coming on tonight, and that will be the first time I would have interacted with him since that. So kind of glad he did it in that sense. So I don't get reminded of that. Of course, they've had the weekend off themselves as they were knocked out in the first round. Coming up against Barrow, like I said, drew 2-2 with Wigan, losing on penalties. Barrow do need to get back to winning ways in the league. They are now 5 without a win in the league. 3 draws in that time. Drawing against Newport last time as well. They were behind twice, but probably at the minute we probably take that. I mean, away point, yes. Against Newport at the minute, probably not. 1-0 Tranmere win. I think they'll get an away win.
I can certainly see the argument for that, and I am kind of still half debating it in my head.
I'm feeling brave.
Yeah.
Or is it brave? Or is it brave? I don't know.
Well,
I guess
it's tricky. It does feel like this is evenly matched. It does feel very evenly matched, but I feel like Barrow have typically been stronger at home. I know they've had 1 or 2 poorer results recently, but I think with the positivity of their cup game, yes, the final result wasn't what they wanted, but I think there are positives to take from it. They can build on that coming back home now after a couple of away games. Yeah, I'm going to back Barrow in this one. I'm going to say 2-1.
Okay, Bromley coming up against Crawley Town. We've talked about Bromley and how much we like him, and we praise Andy Woodman. They're back at home, a place, Hayes Lane, a place in which they're very strong. Coming up against Crawley without a win in their last 3 games. I mean, they're drawn 2 and, of course, played that 4-3 game against Salford. Very good game. I'll be honest, I can't see Bromley not winning it. I think 2-0, clean sheet, and they'll be right up there in the league. Probably, again, there's a chance that, will they be top No, they won't. They're 5 points off Walsall. Never mind. I nearly said they were top then, but maybe it's certainly a chance for them to get cracked back into the top three, perhaps, depending on other results. But I back Bromley in this.
I mean, it's hard not to. They're still unbeaten at home in the league. And with Crawley, we've kind of said previously, they're very hit or miss when it comes to when it comes to any League Two fixture at all. To be honest, they have shown signs of improvement, so I think they'll perhaps be a bigger test than we were expecting. But with the quality Bromley have got, and just the fact that they'll probably score 2 set pieces just because it's Bromley, I'm going to go 3-1 Bromley.
Okay, Cambridge United against Chesterfield, a side that likes scoring loads of goals against a side that are very good defensively, and with Cambridge being at home, I certainly sway towards them more than this one. Of course, Cambridge in 7th in the playoffs, Chesterfield just outside them, and a point behind them in 10th. I'm going to back a Cambridge home win in this one. I think they'll concede, but I think they'll get the job done with a 2-1. I've just got that feeling.
Yeah, again, this is a little bit of a tricky one. I mean, with Cambridge, they're unbeaten in 8 across all competitions now. I appreciate, 1 or 2 of those games at EFL Trophy, so maybe doesn't necessarily count for a lot, but still a decent run and brings a lot of positive momentum to their team. But then Chesterfield obviously do have a lot of quality all over the pitch, but particularly in forward areas, although some of that is still missing. I think the likes of Doppler are still missing. I can't remember when we said they were back, but I don't think it's for this game. And given how Cambridge play, I don't think Chesterfield are going to get anywhere near as many opportunities as they perhaps usually would. It's again, I could see this being very, very even. I'm going to agree that Chesterfield do get a goal, but I'm going to say it's 1-1.
Okay, moving on to Fleetwood Town against Salford City. Of course, Fleetwood Town, another side that have been very good at home. Highbury has been the place for them at the minute, coming up against Salford side. Very good result in the FA Cup, as mentioned, and of course that very good game against Crawley last time out. But they've somewhat had a few results, somewhat mere results other than that, albeit against difficult opposition in Cambridge, MK Dons and Bromley. I'll be honest, I'm struggling to split these two, I should say. I think it'll be a 1-0. I can't see Fleetwood losing at home, but I'm not sure if. I think there's both sides to it. I think both sides have quality, but I'm struggling to split it.
Yeah, I mean Fleetwood haven't lost at home since the 19th of August in the league, which is a very impressive run when you think about it. It just shows that if they're away form that needs a bit of work, but at home against a strong Salford side, who will have just had the boost of that FA Cup result. I just feel like Fleetwood are in quite a good position to get this one. I'm going to say it's going to be a mildly disappointing game for Salford. I'm going to say it's a 2-0 Fleetwood win.
Okay, I don't hate that. Accrington Stanley are making the trip to Harrogate. Harrogate are fresh off a free week, whereas Accrington have played 120 minutes plus penalties on Saturday. That might play a small factor in this one. It's a game in which I think is crucial for both sides, especially Harrogate, currently 23rd in the league themselves, and a win if they win the game, they'd be 2 points off Accrington. Whereas if Accrington were to win, they'd be quite a fair bit clear. So it could be a huge 3 points if they were to get this done. But I think I am going to back Harrogate for a 2-1 win. I'm feeling a home win. I know it's a bit brave. I know it's a bit brave. I think probably considering recent results, but like I said previously, I think there has been circumstances to them. I think maybe the rest might have done them good. Or maybe the 120 minutes might be what Accrington need, and they'll be raring to go, also being the fresher, but probably a little bit more. I don't know. It depends what side of the coin you flip it on, really. I don't think there's really much of a rightish argument. I mean, there probably is, but I just think I think Harrogate will be the fresher, and I think that might play a part in this.
I'm just following my theory of Accrington are better against the better teams, worse against the weaker teams. So for me, I'm going to back Harrogate and hope that my theory is right. So I'm in total agreement with you with a 2-1.
MK Dons make the trip to Meadow Lane to face Notts County. Very tricky game for Pool 1 side. What are your thoughts to start with?
I don't know. I haven't decided where I stand with this game. It is a very, very tricky one, but at the same time, we look brilliant at the minute. But at the same time, there's still, I don't know. It feels like this game has a little bit more emotion to it anyway, just because of the whole thing with Crawley. Just a mention of his name
Yeah,
anywhere in Notts. I don't think he's even playing because I think he'll be injured actually. But his pure existence will be enough for this to be feistier than it perhaps could have been. Uh, Given the quality both sides have, I'm going to say this is actually an exciting game, and I'm going to hope that we get some kind of positive result. I'm going to be optimistic and say it's a 2-2.
Whereas I'm probably going to be somewhat less optimistic in terms of the game, but more on the same lines in terms of the result. I'm going to go for a 1-1. I think Meadow Lane is a tough place to go for the best of teams. You know, you've heard me say that a lot of times at the minute. Notts have always been quite solid at home. I don't think a point is the worst result in the world, but I think, like you said, you're bouncing at the minute. So it also won't be a huge shock if I go and see MK win that game. But
Would be nice.
yeah, I'm just under the impression I think maybe a point might be decent enough for both sides on this
Oh yeah,
occasion.
we'd take it. We'd definitely take it. It's
Let
a
us know
tough
how,
place to go.
let us know how Notts County are as well, because we've got them on Saturday. Of course, that manic fixture of Grimsby Town against Notts County is back again this weekend. But before that, Grimsby Town do play Shrewsbury Town, a trip to their ground. I think it's been a while since we've taken a trip to Shrewsbury. I think the FA Cup a few years ago was probably the last time we've been there. We've obviously played Shrewsbury once this season, Carabao Cup third round. We beat them quite comfortably. I thought they were really poor in the game. Look, we've got to take this result, I think, from the Wilson game, because that was our strongest team. I think we've got to try and put that into results in the league now. Like I said, I'm still under the impression that performances are there. So in that sense, I'm not worried. But this is a game in which I absolutely want us to be winning. If I know it sounds a bit big-headed, Shrewsbury have not been bad at home, but we've got a couple of tough games coming up, and I sort of hope maybe that game against Wilston has maybe put us into gear. Maybe I'd like to think that. Do I think we'll win? Honestly, yes, I think we will. I think we'll go there and I think we'll win 3-1. I really do. I hope we get back on track in the league so I can stop saying, oh yeah, performances are there, but we've lost again because we've made some daft errors. I really hope I'm not saying that again.
Yeah, I would expect you guys to pull off this result. I mean, Shrewsbury are unbeaten in 4 at home, but looking at some of the opposition they've played, they haven't played many of the stronger sides at home in that time. I just think this is a fresh month for Grimsby. You can just like move on from all the individual errors.
Yeah,
This is the time to sort it out exactly. I think it will be perhaps slightly closer. I'm going to say you win it 2-1, 2-1 Grimsby.
Okay, Swindon Town against Cheltenham Town. Next, of course, Swindon are flying at the minute, and of course, I don't think that result against Bolton would have done anything to calm them down. I know we've mentioned about Cheltenham just about getting the job done quite comfortably, but just about getting the job done against Buxton. But 3 defeats out of their 4 league games. I can't see any suggestion really. I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't be overly surprised if I see Cheltenham getting a point from it. But if I'm going to be completely honest, I can see Swindon winning again. I'll go for a 2-0 home win.
Yeah, I just don't rate Cheltenham on the road this season. Unfortunately, I don't think they approach those games very well. I do think they do tend to suffer in those sorts of games as well. Swindon, meanwhile, unbeaten 8 across all competitions. Again, a couple of EFL Trophy games involved in that, but still a decent run. I would say 3-1 Swindon. I think it's going to be hard to stop them from scoring.
Okay, 2 more games to get through very quickly on the Wednesday night. Crewe Alexandra coming up against Newport. Look, 3 league games without a win for Crewe, but they're sort. I mean, if they'd watched Newport today, they know exactly what they're going to be playing. Although I think Newport did beat them at their place last season. And it'll be so typical if Newport did rock up and they beat Crewe. It'll just be so typical League Two. It'll be so typical Newport as well. But I think it'll be a Crewe home win. Let's go 2-0.
Yeah. I mean, Crewe can be very hit and miss in terms of their sort of confidence. Because obviously they do have a young squad. Sometimes it plays into their hands. Sometimes it really, really doesn't. With Newport, as we've kind of said, it's just all negative at the minute. I'm just struggling to find any reason how Newport could, anything that would suggest that they could pull off some kind of result. I'm struggling to see it. I think this is going to be. I'm going to say this is actually a statement win from Crewe. I'm going to say 4-0.
Wow, like it. I don't think there's been many times in which I've heard 4-0 mentioned in one of these predictions, but no, you know what? I don't think it'd be totally out of the blue either. Last but not least, Walsall make the trip to Boundary Park to face Oldham Athletic. Of course, both sides had mixed results in the FA Cup. Walsall getting the job done against National League Gateshead, while Oldham losing to MK Dons, as we've mentioned. I think league form has been pretty patchy, I think, to say the least, for Oldham. Whereas Walsall, I mean, they're top of the league at the minute, 3 wins out of their last 4 league games. But do you know what? I fancy it. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just feel like Oldham could do something. I reckon it'll be tight, if anything. Let's go for an Oldham 1-0 home win. Let's be brave. I know probably, realistically, I probably do think Walsall will win it. And it'll be a bloody good result if they do, really. But I don't know. When you just get that vibe in one or two of those games, I'm sort of getting it with this for some reason. Yeah, I know League Two is the weird and wonderful, and you'll always get results like this. So really, if it does come up, it's sort of proves to be maybe a little bit of a masterstroke. But I'm just feeling it. Let's go a bit bold. Yeah.
I tell you what, I actually like that, but also just because I was looking at Oldham's home form, they are actually unbeaten in 6 in the league at home, and that means their last home defeat was in August, which is quite a nice little run, to be fair.
Even then, look, still playing top of the league, a good side, and for where they are. Unless, what was you going to say? Because you're putting your finger up, and I don't like it.
Oh no, I was just messing around with my necklace.
Right.
But no.
I thought you had a more in detail point that you were going to raise.
No, I know. It wasn't anything quite that urgent, but no. With also obviously, as you say, top of the league, they are capable of pulling out results where others perhaps couldn't. But I'd like to think that Oldham would learn from their mistakes in the FA Cup game and would bounce back a bit as well. I'm going to join you on the whole Team Oldham thing going
on. I'm not alone.
I'm going to join you on it. I'm going to say it's still Walsall. They'll get a goal. I'm going to say 2-1.
Okay. And that's everything. We've got through a lot there, and we've done it in less than an hour. I think we could be very proud of our efforts there, Luke. Yeah, look, there's not really much else for me to say. Thank you very much for tuning in. Of course, let us know your score predictions, your thoughts, of course. Download the podcast wherever you get it from. Subscribe on YouTube. Like I said, we're very close to 1,500, so any help towards that will be greatly appreciated. Good luck to your teams this midweek and then said weekend then. Other than Colchester and Gillingham, who are not in action because they played on Saturday instead. So they'll have the free midweek and they'll be keeping a close eye on results, that's for sure. This has been Luke. I've been Jordan. This has been the League Two Lowdown. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.